first episode of Worth a Pilot. My name's Dane Drummuller. I'm here with David Bushnell, my great friend.
What's up, guys?
So we just watched the pilot episode of Good Omens. It's an Amazon title.
Yep.
And it was good. I liked it a lot.
It's a great piece.
So let's get into it. Let's start talking about it. What did you? Why don't you bring us up to speed and bring everyone else up to speed in case they haven't watched it on what the show, what our logline is and who created it.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is an Amazon Prime original. It was released in May of 2019. I don't know when you all are watching this. But yeah, it's a tale of how to fuck up the Armageddon. It features an angel, a demon, an 11-year-old antichrist, and a soothsaying witch. It's a really, really excellent show created by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. Neil from his work in stuff like Coraline. So he works with some of the darker, kind of mixing dark and light aspects together. And it stars David Tennant and Michael Sheen, two just really, really talented actors. You know David Tennant from his work in things like Doctor Who and his work in Jessica Jones as Kilgrave. And it's really cool to see him branch into kind of another new role and break out of that. But yeah, it's a really good show.
I was really psyched to hear that Neil Gaiman did this because a lot of people know him from things like Coraline, but he's definitely done a lot of stuff in more fringe culture that I'm a big fan of. His novels and his graphic novels are fantastic.
Really? I didn't know.
Oh God, yeah. He does really great dark fantasy and stuff like that. Similar ideas as what we're watching. This is a lot. I could tell that this is a lot of his mentalities coming out from where he stands on his graphic novels and things like that, and he's coming forth. He's big into fantasy and sci-fi and things of that nature. So it was really fun to see Amazon put a lot of money into it and just
big
go
budget,
for it.
Big budget production. Okay, so I had a question for you. Since this is the first episode, what are you looking for when you're watching a pilot? What really draws you in?
It's so funny because I feel what brings me into each pilot is very, very different.
Sure, yeah.
It's more of, for me at least, it's not a quantifiable this, that, or the other thing. It's just I'll know it when I see it kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's that's why I don't really enjoy a 1 through 5 star rating on things. Sure. It's just too black and white. And this show was absolutely fantastic. There was a lot of things I really loved about it, but there are definitely things that would stop me from if it was 8 seasons that we had, it would stop me from binging all 8 seasons right off the top.
As opposed to just the 6-episode run.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
Is this a limited series?
It
so are
is.
we going to get more than one season?
No, it is done. It is 6 episodes.
Okay.
That's it. They're done. When I finished watching it, actually, I was really hoping for a second season, so I went online, did some research, and the creators are like, no, it's a one and done. That's one of the things that I really appreciate about British shows that they do, is that they'll do just a limited run of the show, and they'll be okay saying, this is the story that we want it to tell, and we've told the story, we're done telling it.
I do really enjoy that about British television, is that they're not so capitalist focused that they will push a show past what it needs, what it should be, into into places where we start getting a little fuzzy with what we as fans want out of it. They are much more focused on their needs and wants, and the needs and wants of the story versus the needs and wants of the audience per se.
Exactly, and they tell an excellent story.
So those are the good things that I like about British television. There are things that I don't like about British television, and I will say...
The shitty puns.
Yes, they showed up magnificently in this episode. For me, it's very hard for me to get super, super into a British show, especially when it's comedic, because I'm not a huge fan of, the dry, kind of just callous humor of the Brits. Sometimes, it's not that I don't like it, but it's that it can get old very quickly for me.
I get that.
So while this show had a lot of great things going for it, there are definitely things like that that would stop me from continuing to watch seasons of this.
Yeah.
So it's delightful for me to realize that they just like set it out, put out the story, and are done. It's very similar to how comic books are.
Yeah.
You get a run, you get a story. They know exactly how it's going to start and end, and they know what's happening, and they're not going to push it beyond its boundaries. What are some of the things that really caught your eye about the episode?
You know, one of the things, obviously, you know, it's a really compelling story because, you know, I mean, we, in our culture, in American culture, we actually kind of have this fascination with Armageddon stories. Not necessarily like biblical end of the world, but just like, you know, society falling apart.
Yeah,
so
you've got 2012, you've got...
Exactly.
Yeah, you've got the movie Armageddon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what's really interesting is to see them put together this very kind of old story of Armageddon with a new twist, because it's all like Bible based revelations kind of Armageddon stories. That was really interesting to me, how they kind of put their own unique spin on it. That's one of the things that really pulled me into the second episode, was that story, but also really the chemistry between Aziraphale, that's Michael Sheen's character, the angel, and David Tennant. Crowley, the demon. They're back and forth, where both of them are concerned about whether or not they're doing the right thing for, you know, their side, you know, heaven or hell. That was something to me that was really compelling, and to me was more interesting throughout the course of the entire show than the actual Antichrist story.
I absolutely agree with you. The story of the whole, like, the overarching storyline, the A story, if you will, is sort of take it or leave it for me, considering I've seen this kind of, like, idea play out so many times. And even though they did a lot of cool things, like they made God a woman, they made Adam and Eve black, you can tell that the writers are really going for a kind of counterculture, like punk rock approach to the biblical Armageddon. But yeah, like you said, the relationship between the two main characters is definitely what will bring me to episode 2. It's what will keep me watching.
Yeah.
Because I'm 10 times out of 10, I'm more for a character story than I am for a overarching story. But those are the kind of things that are really going to keep bringing me back to these episodes.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's definitely something that if they don't keep up as writers, I will not return for.
You know, and I can tell you that they do a really good job developing that relationship. They actually have one of the episodes focuses on their story between everything that happens between the Garden of Eden and then modern day. There's actually an episode totally devoted to that.
That's so cool.
So it's really cool. You know, I don't know if you noticed this, but the palette is really interesting. You have a lot of, just the entire palette of the show, you have a lot of blues and greens, a lot of like depth between those, like really light blues and light greens to really, it's something that really, this is actually my third time watching this pilot.
The art design of the whole episode was very good. Do they continue that throughout the season?
Yes, it stays just visually really stunning.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It's very vibrant, very poppy. You could tell it was made for 4K.
Yeah.
You could tell it was digitally filmed and not and not done on actual film. You could tell a lot of work went in from the director of photography and the art director on this, just to really crank out a really beautiful thing to watch, which I think is really important. Like, a good story will take me pretty far, but being able to watch something that's visually beautiful will allow me to continue to rewatch it. I feel like, definitely. Like, I was just rewatching Shutter Island last night, and realized that about that too. It's just a gorgeous freaking movie. I could watch that movie on mute and be happy with it.
I think I have.
Oh, I'm sure at some point. But yeah, that's something that's really important to me, because it's just like, it starts to include all your senses.
So what were some of the things that you didn't like about the pilot?
like I was saying, the dry humor is not necessarily something that I don't like, but it's definitely something that gets old for me quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It's what stops me from continuously watching a bunch of Sherlock.
Yeah.
It's something that's stopped me dead in my tracks on Doctor Who. Something that interested me is the fact that when Aziraphale goes to heaven to talk to like his higher ups, it was very British Office.
Like the British Office.
Yeah. It was very
okay.
British Office up in heaven. Like in my notes, I described heaven as a tech company and hell as a sewer.
Yeah.
And I feel like hell, that's like a pretty traditional example of hell, but I hated the British Office. Couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
I like the American Office. It's pretty good. I'm not one of these crazy people who rewatches it a million times, because again, it's that like cringy, dry, like...
Yeah.
Like I can watch episodes, but I can't watch it like on a loop like some people can.
You're gonna have to edit that out. You just lost all your viewers.
Nah, dog. Hate me if you want. But yeah, so... It's really, that's the only real complaint I have about this, and it's such a preference thing. Shows are objective, not subjective.
Yeah.
Like, so, subjective, not objective?
Yes.
There you
Yes.
go. What I mean to say is, like, you can't grade art.
Yeah.
It's an art form, and therefore it's gonna be great for some people and not great for other people. It's not something that we can just say, this is good and this is bad. It's, this was good for me and this was not good for me. And what I'm trying to do here is give you guys a good baseline so that you can decide, oh, I agree with these guys, or, oh, these guys don't really carry my same sensibility. So for me, that dryness, that just abruptness isn't really my style, but I totally get that it's funny and why it's funny. So if that's what you're into, definitely, like, you probably won't have any issues with this show. But really, that was the only one for me.
Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from. You know that I have more of a dry sense of humor, so
for sure.
I love that shit. It's great. But the biggest problem for me about the pilot in and of itself is it has actually very little to do with the pilot, but the rest of the story.
Okay.
And so one of the problems that I have is that they only run 6 episodes, 6-hour-long episodes to tell the story. They do a masterful job telling the story, but we've only met about half the characters.
Really?
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I was like, they focus so much on the relationship between Aziraphale and Crawley that you don't get introduced to the other half of the characters until episode 2. I get why they do that, and ultimately, it might have taken away from the pilot if they started too many story arcs in the pilot.
I absolutely agree with that. If I had not been drawn in and attached to these two main characters and their relationship, as well as they did here, I probably would give it a lower grade than what I will now, being as attached to the two characters as I am. Both of them are assigned to Earth and kind of assigned to watch each other, but the fact of the matter is they both really love Earth.
Yeah.
They like hanging out, they like drinking wine, they like eating good food, and it's funny because ultimately their goal becomes, once they find out that Armageddon is about to happen, their goal becomes, we have to stop it because we want to keep screwing around on Earth.
Yeah.
And I love that. The soundtrack. I love their theme song.
Yeah.
It's very good. I'm pretty sure it's an original, an original composition. But what I like about it is they do a lot of different things with it. They like play it in a lot of different themes and styles. Mm-hmm. Like it begins in a very traditional, like kind of harpsichord kind of way, and then in the end of the episode, it's played in a very like Metallica, 80s hair metal kind of way, which is very fun. What I want to kind of go over with you really quick is, and with everyone else, is how I plan on grading these so that I can tell you guys what I really thought of them in a very, way that we can all like reflect upon for each one of the pilots that we watch. So the way we're going to grade these is there's 3 choices. I'm going to wait on it, I'm going to binge a season, or I'm going to beg for more. If it just didn't catch my eye as well as it could have. You know how it is when you watch the first episode of a show that you're like, oh, I wonder if this is any good. You watch it, and that you have a season left of it to watch, but you're just like, it's kind of, I'll get around to finishing it. I'll wait on it. I'll binge a season it's no question. I'm turning back on the controller so that I can hurry up and get to the next episode. It's going to get there. But, as far as seasons after that, once the season's over, I'll probably stop for a little while and just hang out. And I'm begging for more is obviously, as soon as you're done with the season, you double check to make sure that there's more seasons to watch. And if there's not, you're already in your email writing a petition to Amazon to get another season of the show. Mm-hmm. I think this is a really good way to grade these because it's not a number grade. It's just how we felt about it in a concise way that we can kind of just handle, and it's very understandable. So to you, what was it for you? Was it, I'm gonna wait on it? Was it, I'm gonna binge the season? Or was it, I'm begging for more? And just so you know, I don't necessarily mean what you actually did, because who knows, you may have watched the episode and then had something to do right afterwards. Mm-hmm. But in the ideal situation where you had the next 2 days off and you could do whatever the heck you wanted, what was it for you?
It was definitely I'm gonna binge.
Binge the season.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did. I think I finished it over a weekend.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I would agree with you. Mm-hmm. It definitely, like we said, if they had focused less on the relationship between the two main characters and introduced all the story arcs, it definitely would have been, I can wait on this.
Yeah.
But they really did a fantastic job of drawing me in and making me realize that this is something that needs to be watched right now.
Yes, definitely.
And I feel like that's a tactic because as soon as you binge this and realize that it's just a limited series, you want more, you're not going to get any more, so you're going to keep your eye out for more Amazon stuff from these guys and more stuff from writers like Neil Gaiman.
Yep.
Because it's the perfect first hit of heroin's free kind of thing.
Well, can I let me hop
go
in?
ahead.
Because that's exactly what happened. Because the impetus for this entire show was me hitting you up after I had watched about 4 or 5 Amazon shows over 4 or 5 weeks, saying, "Hey, you need to watch these shows."
Yeah.
And this was the first one that I watched, so it was exactly like that for me.
That's so funny. Yeah, man, it's the drug dealer giving you this bit, and I guarantee you, once I finish this season, I'm probably gonna go out and buy a Neil Gaiman book or find something else that I'll figure out who worked on this show. It's probably specifically the art director and the DP, and figure out what else they're working on. Also, whenever I watch a British series, it always kind of feels like they don't give a damn what I think.
Yeah.
Which I really like.
I appreciate that.
I do. I don't like when creators pander to me.
Exactly.
I really love it when a creator makes what he wants. It's just how I want my art. I want my art to be made for the artist and for me to be able to come in and enjoy it because they made it for them. You know what I mean?
And it's more real. It's more genuine.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times it's a lot more raw.
Yeah, and it's the opposite. The inverse is the downfall of most of the things that we at one point love and then eventually come to despise.
Yeah.
Most recently, we can see that represented in the later seasons of Game of Thrones.
Yes.
It's one of those things that was begun as a really beautiful work of art that was made for the creators. It was a passion project. And then by the last 2 seasons,
it ended in a whimper.
It became the McDouble.
McDouble is delicious.
The McDouble is delicious. But you know what? When I buy 5 of them, I don't like it. And that's what you don't get when you get things like this. It's a limited series. It's just really well done, and it's over. Mm-hmm. Because stories are meant to end. You're meant to be left wanting. You know what I mean?
I mean, some of the best stories that leave you with that feeling. It should elicit some emotion at the end, right? And whether it's whether it's on stage, whether it's a movie, whether it's a TV show, at the end it should leave you with a distinct emotional impression.
Cool, man. So
awesome.
I say binge the season. He says binge the season.
Binge the season.
Binge it. All right, guys. Really good. That's been the first episode of Worth a Pilot.
Thank you so much for watching.
Have a great night.